Congratulations on reaching this pillar. Today we're going to learn a little bit about credible sources. The teaching point is information writers base their research on credible and vetted sources. We are living in a very controversial time in the world at the moment. Terms such as fake news and alternative facts seem to be everywhere, and it is more and more important, not just for your informational writing research, but for your interaction with information in your day-to-day life, that you have a better understanding of how to spot whether something is credible and trustworthy or not. Do a quick turn and talk with your partner. How do you know that a source or information that you interact with is credible? One way you can spot the credibility of a source is to use the AAA approach. Now, when we're talking about AAA, we're asking three very simple questions. What do we know about the author? What do we know about the article? And what do we know about the accuracy of the information? So when we discuss the author, we're looking for the author. Can we identify who the author is? Can we name the author's qualifications? Can we know whether the author is affiliated to a company or what the author's motivation might be? We can also think about the article itself. When was it written? Is it recent, or if it's 3 or 4 years old? Is the information in the article current? Is the article published next to advertisements? The third A is accuracy. When you're looking for accuracy, you're looking to see whether the article sourced where it got its ideas from. Did it quote other people, or do you know where their ideas, or is it just opinions? Is other work cited? Is there any extreme or absolute language that leaves no self-interpretation, so ridiculous and terrible? When you see really extreme language, that's definitely a red flag to the credibility of a source. And then the last thing to look for is only one side of the issue presented. Using the AAA approach is one way to spot credibility of sources.
There's this picture circulating around the internet, and when I first saw it, I thought it was soft serve ice cream, and I'm like, why is everyone making such a big deal about it? It's in headlines, it's everywhere, right? So I finally decided to read the story to figure out what it is and why it's such a big deal. Jesus, I want you to go to the picture. And, okay, so...
Oh, geez and Lord mercy, what is that? Look, hold on. Ice cream is good, except it would be gigantic. Okay, that's a good guess. The second thing I thought was that it was like a boa constrictor or something, like, you know, some sort of massive snake.
A massive pink boa constrictor.
Well, it's pink, that's all, you know, but somebody was having fun.
Right.
Maybe cotton candy. So what does it turn out to be?
It's actually mechanically separated poultry.
That sounds delicious.
And this substance that you see here, which is known as poultry paste, is used in mass-produced chicken nuggets.
Oh.
So you would think, like, oh, what's the big deal? It looks like finely ground chicken, right? Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that back in the 1960s, meat producers wanted to find a way to increase their profits, and they wanted to find a way to use the meat that's left behind, like tendons, meat that's stuck on bones, eyeballs, muscle tissue, all this part of the chicken that we used to toss out.
Right.
Okay? So what this machine does is you put all these parts into it, and it grinds it all up. And then they use this paste in chicken nuggets. They can also do this with pork. So a lot of times they'll use it in bologna, or they'll use it in hot dogs.
Salami, pepperoni, which, you know, I love salami, and I read that and I was like, oh, no, disaster. Now, we always knew that what was inside a hot dog was disastrous, but actually seeing it makes it worse. And
Another way you can spot whether a source is credible, and many of you have told me about this, is to use fact-checking websites. Well, I've got a fact-checking website here in front of me. Take a minute to turn and talk with your partner. Is there anything on this website that might be concerning in some way? So we now know to be very careful about the sources we use for our research. So what do we do then? Where do we get credible research from? Well, I'm going to give you 3 tools that you can use that to definitely get closer to credible, vetted sources that you know are dependable. The first one is the SAS databases. Okay, today I'm going to teach you how to use the Singapore databases from the Singapore American School to help you with any of your research. First thing that you need to do is log into the SAS portal. Once you've logged into the portal, you're going to go down to the library section. So you're going to find the library link, and you will go, it'll be right at the top of the portal there. You're going to click library, and then from there you will go into search the catalog. So once we've gone into search the catalogs, we're going to log in again. We've got to take a moment to log back into the actual SAS library so that any searches that we do, we can save them for the future. Now, once we've gone into the SAS library, we're going to go to this tab here, which is called Resource Lists. Now, we're going to add a list. So I'm going to create a title here for my list. It's going to be 7th grade, and it's going to be book club, and it's going to be on, let's call it depression. And so I've created this list. I'm saving this list now. Now I've got 7th grade book club depression. I'm now going to go and collect some resources to go inside of this list. So I'm going to type in the word depression. I'm going to search for that word, and then I've got all of these options. I've got related topics related to it. Maybe I want to look specifically at teen depression, get some results on that one. And now the type of source, I could look in the different types of format for this. The Lexile level is approximately the reading range, 8 to 900. It's approximately 1,000 your reading level. 1,000 to 1,190 is okay. So if I go through this, I can just think, oh, wait a minute, I'll read the abbreviation. If I want to, I can click onto it, save teens. I can click onto it. Once I feel as though I found some sources that are really relevant to me, then I would add these to my list, and then I would use these to take some to do my research. Once I have done that, I've collected my list. I'm going to go back to resource lists, and then I'm going to go to my list on 7th grade book club depression. Oh, there's nothing there because it's the first tab defaults to library materials. But if I want to look for websites, I'm going to have to go there, and that's where my list would be. Now, I can, if I want to, take this list and email it to myself. I can copy this list, so take it with me. But this will always be stored inside your SAS folder. You can see in mine all of the different lists that I have used in the past. This is a really fast and fantastic way to get reliable sources on different topics. The second source that you could use to get to more credible and relevant information is smart Google searches. Listen to our tech coaches discuss how to use Google in a smarter way.
Fellow researchers, this is Mr. Norton, your middle school tech coach, and I want to give you a few tips and tricks for using a Google search. Today I'm going to look for video game violence. It's been in the news a lot lately. You can see that there's a few top stories that are happening here about video game violence. But as you notice, there's 4.9 million hits. I got to search through these, figure out what's relevant, what's not, what's biased, what's not. So I want to get a little more specific. So now I'm going to look at video game violence, and I'm going to type the word site:/edu. It gives me only video game violence from educational websites. This is really good. This helps out. But I want to actually look at some current stuff. So I'm going to click on Tools, and I'm going to change this time to within the last week. So what has happened about video game violence at educational institutions that's been published within the last week. Now I get a little more specific things talking about video game violence in the last week. I can actually go one step further and go, I'm going to only look at the country Singapore. You can change these countries in your settings, but now I'm going to look for only Singapore. Well, now we've gotten so narrow, there's nothing there. So we need to step back a little bit and say any country. I can change it relevance. I can actually go up here and look at news as well. You click on news, and now I can look within the last week. I can expand a little further because obviously it is. These are still looking for EDU sites. So I'll take off EDU sites, and I can keep going back. So it's a series of going very, very narrow and finding what you want to sometimes taking a step back and seeing a little broader picture. I hope that helps, and good luck searching.
Another way for you to get to more credible sources is to use Wikipedia. Watch as I use a simple little tool to help me find more credible sources for my research using Wikipedia articles. Do your search for your topic, but instead of reading everything that the article is saying, because this article has been synthesized from many different sources, is to scroll right to the bottom and go directly to the initial sources themselves. When you're going to the source, and that's why it's called the source of the information, you're getting it firsthand. It's probably going to be a lot more credible. Now, let's say you've got these great sources, but then you say, Mr. Buxton, but this is written for high schoolers or for adults. How would I be able to use that information or understand it? You could actually take a link, go to a site called Rewordify, copy in some of the text, and it will rewordify that text. It will put it into a much easier reading level for you so you can actually understand what the text is saying. Okay, let's just do a quick recap. We know that we need to use vetted and reliable sources, and the 3 ways we can get to them are going through the SAS databases, using some smart Google search tips, and perhaps going into the actual source material for the Wikipedia articles. Okay, it's time for you guys to collect your list of credible sources. You are now headed to a pillar of learning. You have just listened to the video. What we love about our pillar of learnings is that we get to choose which way we want to practice the activity. After you finish your learning activity and you finish whichever one you choose, and you only have to do one of them, you can prepare yourself for the formative or sometimes a summative, and then you will meet with your teacher to conference. I'll be back soon.